In January of 2017, the Financial Post ran an article that featured a statement from the economist Trevor Combe regarding tariffs. This statement by Trevor Combe perfectly expresses the argument that I will be presenting today in favor of the negation on the resolution resolved. A significant tariff on imported goods from Mexico is a good policy for the U.S. economy. In the article of the Financial Post, Combe states that the ways the free market helps people, quote, are almost invisible. It's hard for us to see in the products we buy how much cheaper they are due to the lack of tariffs now being embedded in their price, unquote. The reason that it's hard for us to understand what Combe is talking about is because America at large also doesn't understand the biggest problem of this round today. And that is that tariffs of any sort on products from Mexico hurt the overall efficiency of the American economy. Today, I will demonstrate that a free market between Mexico and the US will bring positive impacts to businesses and to consumers. To do this, I will examine the 3 points of what the free market is, how the free market works, and why tariffs badly compromise the free market. We begin with the first. What is the free market? According to the online investment resource Investopedia, the free market is defined in simple language as an economic system based on supply and demand with little or no government control. That essentially means that businesses have the freedoms to make choices based off of what they would like to do, instead of having the government control the economy by setting the prices at which companies can buy and sell products. But what is the effectiveness of the free market? To examine this, let's look to the second question. How does the free market work? Free market theory revolves around the idea of creating a world in which businesses can operate at optimal efficiency. Optimal efficiency in this debate being regarded as spending the least amount of capital in order to produce the best products. Free market theory argues that when the entirety of the global market is open to American companies, they can be far more optimally efficient. For example, imagine that an American company like Ford needs a certain quantity of rubber to produce their tires. What if a Mexican supplier is able to provide Ford with rubber at a rate that is 30% below that of an American supplier? If Ford goes to the Mexican supplier for all of their needs, they have significantly cut their costs for purchasing rubber. That 30% that Ford saved is now able to be applied towards furthering their company's investments. And additionally, since production costs are now lowered, they even have the opportunity to lower the cost of their cars, which benefits us consumers. This is the beneficial competition found within the free market, and the perfect example of supply and demand currently playing out to help American companies and consumers. In fact, 2 studies published by the Peterson Institute for International Economics in 2014 found that although trade agreements with Mexico, like NAFTA, have been linked to a job loss of 15,000 per annum, the overall benefit to the American economy is a $6.7 billion increase per year in the form of higher productivity and lower consumer costs. Now that we have a picture of that immense economic benefits that the current free market provides to the U.S., we must turn to the third and most crucial question. Why do tariffs compromise the free market? The reason that tariffs will eliminate the $6.7 billion benefit that we examined in this last point is because tariffs are meant to discourage American businesses from importing supplies and products, and to instead purchase those products for their higher prices here in America. Though this sounds like it could benefit the American economy even more, we must return to the Ford example to understand these tariffs' effects in full. So if a significant tariff is imposed on the Mexican rubber that Ford currently buys, then Ford is forced to buy the American rubber for a much higher price than they normally would get from the Mexican companies. This limits Ford's ability to have increased productivity and lower consumer prices, which lead us to the $6.7 billion impact. In fact, when some members of Congress threatened to hike up tariffs to a whopping 20% for all products imported to the United States, a Wharton podcast found in 2017 in February discussed that, quote, retailers fear that the tax would significantly increase the cost of their imports, which could hurt consumers' wallets, depress demand, and threaten retail industry jobs, unquote. These are all the very same impacts that are gained from having the more free, open market of the current system. And clearly, we should avoid tariffs that would do these things at all costs. So in the end, when we look back to the resolution, because I've demonstrated that free market theory does indeed work when we look to the data and see the $6.7 billion impact, I hope that you vote to protect the free market by casting your ballot in favor of the negation.